your omnipresence, we will never be alone. Amen. I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. This is a very interesting time of year. Well, very interesting time every 4 years. Yes, it's that time when the politicians have come out and they've started just talking about so little and so much at exactly the same time. It's amazing. I hate this time of year because it reveals, it's not because we become bipartisan. I think we should be more bipartisan. I would love it if everybody could know exactly how Republicans and Democrats differ on things like the treaty with Iran that we're doing and all of that stuff. But rather, instead of that, we just start throwing hate at each other and start thinking everybody who disagrees with us is idiotic. And our politicians seem to push that. What I would love is to hear them tell the truth. And that's way too much to think would ever happen. So what I really would love is not the truth, but maybe just what they think. Not what they want us to think they think. This is the great struggle that we have. Yeah, I'm waving at friends of mine.
Oh, they're your friends. Okay, I'll get it.
But here's the great struggle, and what I would love to see is just in that knowledge, in that reality, that we would be able to begin to talk to one another. And the great struggle that it is for us at this time is that we are about to start a 3-week discourse on the bread of life that's going to go over and over again. We're going to hear about Jesus as being the true bread and the true cup. We're going to talk about if you don't eat his bread and eat his body and drink his blood, that you have no part in it. All of that is coming, and it's going to be a really long time before we get out of John chapter 6. And the great point that's coming forward is exactly what he says to us today. Is I am God, whether you like it or not. That you've come to try and elect me, and I reject your election. Because you don't get to choose who is God and who is Lord. I'm it. You come and follow me. So today we're going to talk about Jesus as the bread of life. We're going to talk about what it is that we do when we get together and try and have an election. And finally, we are going to talk about the lordship of Jesus Christ and how we can't get away from it. When Jesus says, whoever comes to me will never be hungry, whoever believes in me will never thirst, we should struggle with that passage immensely. Because he's also called himself Lord, and we should hold him to that. I hunger regularly. I thirst regularly. Not just against injustice, not just against metaphorical things, but I get hungry regularly. And I come to Jesus and I haven't found that hunger satiated. And I haven't found that thirst satiated. He made a promise to me, right? And I live in a world where a lot of politicians have made promises, and why hasn't this promise been fulfilled? The reality is that God has said these words in Jesus and through John's Gospel to get us to actually want to see in Jesus our hunger and our thirst satiated. He wants us to find in Jesus Christ nothing more than our very sustenance. The only reason why we are on this earth. That without God, we would not have not just our lives, but any being at all. Without God, everything disappears. He's trying to make himself foundational for every experience of our existence. And we should cringe and struggle with that because the majority of my day as a priest, which means I obviously don't believe it. I believe that I can fulfill my own needs. I believe that I can sustain my own survival. I believe that I am the reason why I have everything that I have. And the gifts that God has given me, in all of you, in my family, in my professors, in my friends in all of those people who have led to the sanctified person that you see before you. That's all the good stuff. All the bad stuff, don't worry. But all the good stuff that I have done has been very little of what something that I've done myself. Jesus says, I am the bread of life, and I have come to give life to this world. Rely on him for that, my brothers and sisters. He's coming for us. He's given us life. He is welcoming us into something. And we think very quickly that we get to elect him. No. You see, we live in a place where Jesus has called himself Lord, but we put up lords all the time. And what we're going to do in the next, 16 months or so, when we gear up for an election that's going to happen, is that we think that we are giving power to someone else, and we are extending our power to someone. They will represent us, 40 miles away in Washington, D.C., and all of those things. But the reality is that when we say Jesus is Lord, it's not that Barack Obama is not, it's not that our senators is not, it's not that our governor is not. When we say Jesus is Lord in our society, right now, we're saying Jesus is Lord and I am not. If we think that we have been left alone on this earth to fend for ourselves, God says, I am with you always. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Cling to me. And instead of doing that, we set up systems. And we struggle with it. And we struggle with all of that stuff. And we begin to hate one another who disagrees with us, and we think that the world would be a better place if just someone else would be elected. And pretty soon we get to the point when we look at the real world as it is, beyond all of those things that seem to be a reality that transcends the national boundaries that we have, and we wonder, is this a world that I even want to be a part of? I prayed with a man today, and we'll talk about whose younger brother is now, as you guys all know, struggling with early onset Alzheimer's. He said, I really need God. And I said, good for you. You should be. Just don't ever leave. Stay angry. Because anger means that you're in a relationship with that person, with that God. Don't be afraid. Like Job saying, what is up with this? Why is this happening? Because we realize that we're not in control. We realize that the pretty and beautiful worlds that we have been the privilege to make for ourselves, sometimes things don't go as well as we would like. And God still says, come first. Exactly what it means to believe in God. It's not just an abstraction, right? When he says, those who come to me will never be hungry, those who believe in me will never thirst. He's not trying to make a distinction between coming to him and believing in him. If you believe in this God, you will come to him. There is no separation thinking, I think that God exists, and then you go about your business. God says to believe in me is to come to me. And to follow the path that your friends and family and all of those who have prepared you for this moment to push you towards me. Because I am Lord. You are not. I am Lord, and that's it. Full stop. For our ancestors said Jesus is Lord and Caesar is not. We now say, because we created a world in our own image, Jesus is Lord and I am not. And it is glorious, friends. The joy that we all have from this. It's hard when I talk about being angry with God, because God, you're responsible for everything. And Jesus says, I'm Lord and you're not. And we feel like he is the great taskmaster or the great employer who says, just deal with it. There's another way to think about it. You just have to put the words, don't worry, in front of it. He says it to me all the time. Don't worry, Travis. I am Lord and you are not. Don't worry. Relax. I am Lord and you are not. struggle is going on, and you think that you have to make sure that every person in your church is happy, and every person who works for you is happy, and everything else, I am Lord, you are not. You get to find meaning now in the call that I have given you to be a priest here at Grace. To be a witness of my love to them. I am Lord, and you are not. Don't worry. Stay with me. Stay with me. When I get over it in a few years, I'll tell you about last week, but it was incredibly difficult. When I had friends and the vestry members who came around me and said, hey, can I help you? I've come to the point in my life where I don't know how to answer that question. And I've been doing it on my own for so long, I don't know how to answer the question when people say, can I help you? How many of us feel that? How many of us have enjoyed the sanctified existence of allowing someone to come alongside us and say, I'm here to help you. Let me help. And for us to say, okay, here's how you can help me. That's the virus we have to break out of. That's the one we have to cure in our own culture. It's different in other places, but this one is ours. There's nothing wrong with American individualism, nothing wrong with our government system, nothing wrong with our politicians, nothing wrong with Republicans or Democrats. What's wrong is that we think we're in this by ourselves. And we don't know how to ask for help. There's a billion people out there willing to give help, and we don't know how to ask for it. We don't know how to receive it. Maybe there's something wrong with us. And we don't know. And then, when we're in the hospital like I was in December, and people are coming, and you realize that you're loved beyond your imagination. You realize how much you've been longing for human touch. And all of it's saying that because all you've got, hour after hour, sitting in the hospital bed. We are not meant to be alone. We're meant to be together. So welcome the person next to you. Welcome their voice into your life. Welcome the challenges that they bring to you. Welcome the love that they have for you. And you find yourself dancing with the Holy Trinity, sharing the very love the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit have for each other, extended to each and every one of you. Jesus is Lord, you are not. So let him reign. Amen.